Hey, learning nerds. Before we begin today's show, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this podcast, Idle Courses Academy. If you're looking to transition over into the corporate instructional design space, you need the right guidance to do so. And Dr. Sargent and her team have done an incredible job of focusing on what's important to be a corporate instructional designer, like storyboarding, ID models and theories, authoring tools, project management tactics, and more. They even cover how to make your resume and portfolio stand out from the crowd and have an impressive completion rate with their students working at organizations like Google, Salesforce, GM, Uber, Walmart, and Amazon. Also, you won't be going through the learning experience alone. You'll be studying alongside other aspiring instructional designers, as well as working with experienced coaches. And as an added bonus, you'll get a copy of my book at a discount, What I Wish I Knew Before Becoming an Instructional Designer. So check out the industry-recognized program that's showing up in job descriptions as preferred training and education by going to idlecourses.com/academy. Enrollment for Idle is opening back up again in June, which really isn't that far away. So make sure that you sign up for the wait list, and then once enrollment does open back up again, make sure to use my enrollment code Luke to save you $88 off of your enrollment. And now let's start the show. Hello, learning nerds, and welcome on in to the nerdiest podcast you're going to hear today. My name is Dr. Luke Hobson. I am your host of this show. I am a senior instructional designer and program manager. I'm an instructor. I'm an author. I do a lot of stuff on the internet where I talk about instructional design because I love what it is that I do, and I love being able to share this information with all of you and helping you out on your own instructional design journey. And of course, you can find all my information over at drlukehobson.com. And today, folks, it is a special day. It's going to make for a special type of episode. And you might be asking why? Well, it's because I'm older. It's actually my birthday. May 11th is my birthday. I just turned 35, which is really crazy to actually think about. But when thinking about my birthday, I was thinking about what I did last year, and I absolutely loved what we did. It was so awesome. So I want to be able to recreate this magic. If you don't remember from last year, or if you are newer listening into the show, last year I did a book contest type of a giveaway where I gave away some of the signed copies of my book called What I Wish I Knew Before Becoming an Instructional Designer. All that you had to do to be eligible to enter to win this type of contest was that I asked you to tag someone who has helped you along your own instructional design journey, your own personal journey, professional journey, whatever it is, and simply just thank them. Just say thank you, talk about why they're awesome, and that was it. So I want to do the exact same thing. I really want to make May 11th a type of a time frame where we're thinking more about spreading joy and kindness and care and everything else like that, because certainly the world needs it. So be a friend, tag somebody, and mention about why they are awesome. You can do this on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, doesn't matter, whichever way you want to be able to comment about it. Just go right on ahead. And then at the end of this week, I'm going to collect all of the names, and then the following week, I'm going to post an announcement for the winners. And if you win the book, you'll be hearing from me, and I'm going to figure out where to ship this book to. So good luck with the contest. And now let's talk a little bit more about everything for today's episode. And the theme for today's episode came from a place of having so many conversations with many of you. This actually took place of having a conversation with a buddy of mine. But since I have been posting out there talking about why I think you need to take a break, why I think you should deserve a break and give yourself permission to be able to do so, I keep hearing from so many of you about just saying like, wow, this was the perfect timing. I really needed to hear this. I've been going through so much right now, and just having an outside perspective really did help. So I wanted to be able to do this more for all of you who listen to this show. So I created a YouTube video yesterday talking about why you deserve a break and talking a little bit more about how not everything online is real. Imposter syndrome affects us all. So I wanted to go a little bit more into the insider secrets about everything I have seen and what I have learned along the way. And if you do want to watch the video in its entirety and see that type of version of this message, you can go down below into the show notes and you can find the YouTube video. But I'll stop talking, and here's the episode about PSA, You Deserve a Break. I see you. I hear you. I can read the LinkedIn room to know that you are giving it everything you have in order to land that new job, that promotion, that next opportunity. But I can also see that you're working so hard that you're heading towards burnout. Now, I posted a conversation the other day, or a summary of a conversation, I should say, with a friend of mine, and he was going through these things. Now, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. So my buddy was working about 50 hours a week, and he could tell that this job was, it was okay, but he knew there was something better out there for him. So he started to prepare. He started to do all the things that one should be doing, with taking courses, earning certificates, attending workshops and webinars, and networking, and doing the virtual coffee chats, and he was doing everything. He was doing so much that essentially he created a new full-time job to help him land a new full-time job, which is kind of interesting how that happens. So he was doing all of these things, and then he would go on to LinkedIn. And when he went on to LinkedIn, he would see that people were sharing their accomplishments, their wins, their new opportunities, and it made him feel like he wasn't doing enough. And it started to fill him with imposter syndrome. And he's just like, oh my gosh, I can't take a break. I got to go and do more. And I got to do more and more and more. Until eventually, him and I had this conversation, and I was like, whoa, hold on, man. This is not the way to being able to do these things. You need to take a break and allow yourself that permission to be able to do so. Now, when I shared this, I heard from so many of you of, how did you know I needed to hear this? I'm going through these stages right now. And then, yeah, I can tell. It's very apparent. Now, the thing is, though, is that when you are doing this, let's put aside professional development for a second here. Let's think more about how, let's say you're training for a marathon. That's your new goal. So you want to be able to run a marathon, and your training program to do this is that for 7 days in a row, you are going to run as hard and as fast as you can. And then on the 8th day, you're going to figure it out. So you do this plan for 2 days. And at the end of those 2 days, you wake up the next morning and your body is screaming at you because essentially it's broken. It can't give you any more. It needs to rest, but you keep on pushing through anyway, expecting results to come better and faster and quicker. And that's not how things work. The right way of being able to train for a marathon is to do something like having 2 days on where you're giving it all of your effort, and then 1 day off for resting and for recovering, or 3 days on, 1 day off. And you keep on adjusting and evaluating from there and being able to change your training program over time. Now, professional development, personal growth, it's the same thing. There is a time and a place for being able to do this. And also there is a time and a place where you should be taking breaks and purposefully allowing yourself that downtime to regroup, to recover, and then to attack these new jobs and these new opportunities and everything else stronger the next time around. Now, instead of thinking about this as far as from a training marathon perspective, think about your brain. Think about how learning works. Would you advise anyone else to do the same thing that you are currently doing? Probably not. Not unless if they are in such a awful, toxic, chaotic environment where you're like, you have to leave this place now. Then, okay. But if you're not in that type of dire position, then no, you wouldn't advise someone to be able to do this. And also, you know how learning works. Learning does not take place where you are just consuming content again, and again. And I know it's ironic that I am telling you this on a piece of content with a podcast episode and a YouTube video. But the thing is that our society, all we do is consume content on a daily basis with videos, with podcasts, with Netflix, with you name it. We're always in this type of absorbing knowledge, information, whatever you want to be able to say. But that's not how learning works. You know that, yes, you're going to be introduced to new topics and go about with these exploratory phases, but at the same time, you then need to allow enough time and space things out to allow this information to sink in. You then want to be able to try and recall this information later on and see how much you can actually remember. You want to be able to practice about what you are currently going through. You want to apply this information into real world context, into a form of real world setting or scenario. You want to be able to have enough time to reflect and evaluate upon your progress and upon your growth and everything that's currently working for you, and then make tweaks and changes where necessary. That's learning. Going about with trying to be able to do all of these things at 100 miles an hour every single day and never taking downtime, that's not going to be as productive. So how do I know this? Well, because I have tried to do it. It doesn't work. I'm confident in saying that if you go 100 miles an hour at all times and give 100% effort every single day, it's not going to lead to better results, faster results, or anything like that. It does lead to a one-way ticket to burnout land, so fun, but that's not how this actually works. Now, one of the questions that I get asked the most, actually the question you probably ask me about the most by far with anything that I do or share online, is that you always want to know, how do I do everything? How do I have time to do all the different types of things that I do? So you know that I work at MIT, Miami. I have the Instructional Design Institute. I have my book. I produce content. I do all of these things. Now, my secret, which is not a secret by any means, but this is what I do, is that I purposefully plan everything. I am super careful with guarding my time and purposefully picking and choosing what to work on, when, where, how, why, and things of that nature. So let's take that marathon example for a second there. If I'm going to be working extremely hard for 3 days in a row, I will then plan to take a break that following day, where essentially I'm just coasting. I'm not trying as hard. I'm not being creative. I am just essentially showing up, being present, and doing what I need to do, but I am not going over the top, because there's a time and a place to really give it everything you got. And once again, a time and a place to take that break. So I tend to do that. I'm doing like 3 days on, 1 day off, and things of that nature. And some days, and you may not actually see this because I will try to stay off social media and really any other type of platform, but I will give myself a break where I do nothing, like zero, nada, nothing. I am just trying to exist on my couch and hang out with my wife and my dog, and I just do nothing. That helps me. That allows me to recover. I love being around my family. That's what works for me to then allow me the following day to then be able to try again and to work harder. And that's going to keep on giving me that motivation to keep on working. Now, let me touch upon the whole LinkedIn fact as well, too, because like my friend and even myself, too, I have also gone on to LinkedIn and wondering about how people are doing all of these things, from promotions to opportunities to raises. And it's just like, why isn't that happening yet for me? What am I doing wrong here? And the thing is, get ready to have your mind blown. Not everything on the internet is real. Shocking. I know. You've never heard of that before. But there are some things out there that just doesn't really make sense. So let me take you behind the scenes just through some investigating that I used to do to try to figure out exactly how do some of these things happen. I've seen some people be able to publish new articles every single week. I've seen some people write new books every 6 months to about a year. I've seen some people create new content online on a daily basis. And always it's like, how? How are these people doing this? The thing is, I started to learn more about some of these different types of tactics. So for the people who publish articles every single week, well, they're not alone, and they're usually writing with others. They're maybe going to be editing and reviewing and then putting their name on it, and then it goes out the door. So it seems like they do a whole bunch. For those who are writing books every 6 months to a year, they hire ghostwriters. Okay, all right, well then, sure. So you can do that. And then you have those who are constantly producing content, and they have an entire team that they're outsourcing this type of work, or they have an entire team behind the scenes, and they really don't come about. And it always just has the one person, that face to the name kind of a thing, and you don't hear more about how they go about with everything from what they do. Nothing wrong with that, but when you are the outside perspective looking in and you don't see that, you're constantly left wondering of how. Well, these are some of these insider secrets about how everything actually does work. So, what is the message here? Don't compare yourself to others. I know it's super hard to really do, but don't. Think about you, your goals, your ambitions, why you're doing these things in the first place. And please also take a break. You don't need to keep on grinding away every single day and trying to be able to go about with all of these things at 100 miles an hour. Taking a break and regrouping is going to be so much more helpful for you in the future. Now, if you need this, because it seems like some of you do indeed need this type of outside voice to give you permission to take a break, well, hey, hi, I'm Luke. Here is your permission. Here is your sign. Please take a break. It is okay. The world is not going to end. No one is going to die because you're trying to be able to upskill and to get better. You're not a surgeon. You're not an emergency worker. You're just trying to get better at what it is that you do every single day, piece by piece, moving one step closer towards every single day of being able to accomplish your goals. So once again, I see you. I hear you. You're doing awesome. I'm proud of you, but also know when is the right time and the right place for professional development, for personal growth, and of course, for trying to be able to just coast and take it easy every now and again. That's all I got for you. Stay nerdy out there, folks. Talk to you next time.